You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Let's get spooky. This is our station, Boo, where we explore the dark and mysterious corners of the world of horror, and we know that you are dying to listen. Welcome to the Spooky and Kooky podcast of Earth Station Boo, where we talk all things horror. Introducing our haunted host with the most, we've got our lovely Lisa.
Hello, groovy ghoulies.
We have our kick-ass Karen.
Hey, my horrorholics. Hey.
And I am your spooky Shannon. So welcome to the show. We are so happy you guys are here with us. We are going to be talking about an iconic film in the world of horror, The Silence of the Lambs, releasing in 1991, starring, obviously, Sir Anthony Hopkins as Dr. Hannibal Lecter and wonderful Jodie Foster as Clarice Starling. So, let's get spooky. Hey, horrorholics. It's time for the Ghastly Report. Stay tuned for all the fun, spine-tingling news happening in horror today, from new releases to spooky events and so much more. Welcome to the Ghastly Report. We have got a ton of really cool stuff coming up that we want to let you, our lovely little ghouls, our fellow horrorholics, in on. First up is Hulu is rebooting the TV series Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Sarah Michelle Gellar is involved with the project, so do not fear. She is reprising her role as Buffy Summers, which will be exciting. She's also going to be an executive producer, and she has announced who the new Slayer is going to be, and it's going to be the lovely Ryan Kira Armstrong. You might know her from Firestarter or Skeleton Crew, so that's pretty exciting. If you haven't heard about it, it's kind of on the new side. There hasn't been much talk. There is also a new film called Self-Help by Eric Blumquist. You might know him from Founders Day. It's kind of an interesting film. It's about a young girl who goes into a cult to save her mom, who has fallen in love with a cult leader. So, interesting story. I'm kind of excited to see where it goes. We also have found out, though, that Kevin Bacon's The Bondsman has been canceled, and even Kevin is a little puzzled on why it happened. So, interesting to hear what comes from all of that. Sad that it got canceled, though. Wednesday Season 2 has had a couple of trailers out now. We're obviously going to see more Pugsley as he joins Nevermore. We're going to see Grandmama, which that's always exciting. And it looks like it's going to develop more with all the characters that we already love. Some more amazing news is Sinners, which has done amazing in the theaters, is actually going to be getting released to stream here starting June 6th. That is stupid exciting. I'm very happy for this film. I actually got to see it. I loved it. I really hope that everybody else gets to see it. And the physical copies will be coming out in July. I want to say I saw July 3rd. But that date has also been changed once before. So keep your eyes out. It is coming out, but it will be on streaming platforms starting June 6th. Jaws, the 50th anniversary of the shark movie that is above all other shark movies, has actually had some releases in theaters. Go check out your local theater. A lot of them are doing it throughout the summer, because it is a summer blockbuster and the birth of summer blockbusters. So definitely go check your local theater so that way you too can see Jaws on the big screen, because you know you want to see Bruce's smile up close. And on May 31st, you will get to see the first trailer for Del Toro's Frankenstein. I'm really excited. I hope you guys are too. You can go to a lot of our social media pages. We will be posting and resharing that trailer. We are big fans of his, so that will be definitely exciting. And as well as on May 31st it will be 1 year since we released our first episode of Earth Station Boo. We want to thank you, our lovely little ghouls, our fellow horrorholics, so much for coming and listening to us, subscribing to our YouTube channel, following us on all the social media things, listening to every episode, liking and downloading. Everything means the world to us, and we cannot express how much we love our fan base. You guys are amazing, and you've done such amazing work for us. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We cannot express that enough. And let's stay spooky. Come check out our friends in the ESO Network and get ready for us to talk about the one and only Silence of the Lambs. Hey Horrorholics, it's Shannon. Earth Station Boo has just launched its brand new merch store. It's time to get your hands on some killer gear. From our fun logo shirts, cozy hoodies, Let's Get Spooky stickers, and Horrorholics Anonymous totes, there's something for every one of our lovely little ghouls. We offer our spooky designs on many different types of products to fit your desires. But if you happen to see a missed opportunity, just let us know. And unlike most of Stephen King's adaptations, you know what I'm talking about, you won't be disappointed with the quality of the products. Head over to our link tree in our bio, grab your merch, show off your favorite horror podcast, and most of all, let's get spooky.
Hello and welcome to your special delivery of the Cosmic Pizza podcast. I am Casey from the UK.
Dan in the UK.
Finger on the pulse. That's this show. That's definitely what we're all about.
Paul in the UK. I don't eat mashed potato. It's horrible stuff.
John in Canada.
First world problems. It's the only kind I have.
How are you doing, Paul?
And all 7 of our listeners want to know.
I'm pretty sure most of them are here. And we are here to serve you a delicious slice of life.
Cosmic Pizza Podcast is not about the cosmos, all about pizza.
It is time to talk about this iconic film. Let's just kind of start with like our first time seeing it, our initial thoughts when we saw the film, or any of that type of stuff, because this is a film I feel like everybody has at least seen once. Even if you're not into horror, you've seen this film. I feel like it's a pretty mainstream horror film. So Lisa, you get to go first.
Yay! I got to see it in the movie theater. Actually, my best bud Dominic and I saw it together. When I saw it, I liked it. It was it made me a little squeamish at the beginning when she goes into go meet him at the first time. But I really liked it. I mean, my impression of it was very well done. All that good stuff. I liked it a lot. And then I went to go see it again. So
yeah, sounds about right. Karen, how about you?
This is like the most beautiful story ever written in my, entire life that I ever got to see on film. And I remember watching it with my brother. I think he took me to the movie theater to watch it. And I was just in awe by it, like from the set designs to costume designs to the story to the different personalities. And my love of the moth came from this movie because of the death head moth. So yeah, like even if you just watch it once, it brings you into a story that is not just a horror story, but it's a crime thriller.
Yeah.
And what's really good about this movie is that you don't know if it's truly horror, if it's crime, if it's, thriller, if it fits in almost any category you want to put it in, and it's not gory horror, it's that psychological burn that you get that makes it feel creepy. And Anthony Hopkins, chef's kiss,
right?
Chef's kiss. Love me some, Hannibal Lecter. Love me some Hannibal Lecter. I could put that thing on the TV and just whatever I'm doing, I'm just gonna sit there and watch it. I could watch that thing on repeat.
Same.
Because you miss, no matter how many times you watch it, you could find more details that you missed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this film, I used the word iconic earlier. It truly is an iconic film, from the storytelling itself to the stellar cast. I think the cast alone was perfection. The director did a fantastic job. The cinematography was on point. There is nothing about this movie that doesn't hit the nail on the head. And to be perfectly honest, like, I think it's interesting. Siskel and Ebert have two widely different reviews of this movie. Siskel hated it, but he's notoriously like hates horror films. He's like, this is a horrible movie. I think he gave it like 2 stars or something like that. Well, Ebert's like, dude, this is a jammy jam. This is going to be an
Yeah.
iconic film. Turns around, it wins not just Best Picture, but Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Media Adaptation, and what was the other one? There was a fifth one. Crap, I can't remember what the fifth one was, but it won five of the things that it was nominated for. And this is a horror film. It is the only horror film to win Best Picture at the Academy Awards, which is mind-boggling. So Ebert likes to like rub it in Siskel's face, like, you missed the boat on this one.
But also goes to show you shouldn't listen to critics, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. This movie just has so much to it. Like, my first time seeing it was, I think I've told this story before on the podcast, but I was a kid. I was probably like 12, 10, something like that. I was young. Like, I knew I should not have been up in the middle of the night to watch this. My brother was definitely too young because he was a big old scaredy cat and decided that he was going to turn off the TV when we got to like one of the scary parts. Actually, I think we were at the part where he like ate the guard's face. Totally freaked my brother out. So he like turned off the TV and wouldn't give me the remote back. But it was fascinating. And I was so excited to sit there and just watch the film. I was just enthralled. I was just like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I love what I'm watching. And I was so mad when he turned it off. I'm like, you turned it off at the good part. And my brother's like, no, it was scary. And I'm like, you little pansy, give it back. But I think this film is fantastic. This is a psychological horror thriller. I think they actually call it a psychological horror thriller film. It weaves in a very fascinating story because it's multiple stories layered on top of each other. So when it comes to the story itself, what did we love and what did we hate about it all? Karen?
I didn't hate anything about the story. I mean, I've never read the book, but I've heard people who've read the book and watched the movie. They're like, man, both of them are amazing. Okay. Now, that's very rare to have both book and movie be amazing.
Yeah.
You either have one or the other.
And the
both.
author of the book actually does like the movie. He saw it not too long after it released, and he said, hey, they did a great job with it. Like, good job them. They lucked out on the cast. They did a great job.
They did.
So,
there was nothing about the plot, the story that I'd hate. The only thing that, that got me was that when Clarice was telling the stories about the lambs.
mm-hmm.
Oh, that broke my heart. Oh, Lord. I was like, oh my God. It's so cringy. And the thing is,
they actually do that too.
I know. For babies. And the fact is, I do like to eat lamb meat, but at the same time, hearing like a child describing the sounds of a lamb screaming, it sounded like a child's. That's what they do. They do sound like a child's voice when they scream.
They do.
I've heard them. Even goats do sometimes. Mm-hmm. But that one story when she was telling Lecter that, I was like, oh, that's my heart. But there's nothing with the story, the plot, or anything that I did not like. I loved it because you had that multi-layer. You have Hannibal's story. You have Clarice's story. You have the overall plot that's going on. You have Buffalo Bill's story. It's just layers upon layers, and you just have to work it way like an onion, peeling it off slowly and over and over. Oh, so good.
Yeah. Lisa, how about you?
I agree with Karen. I mean, there was nothing in the story I did not like. It was great. The plot was great. I read the book too a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute myself.
It's been a hot minute. But yeah, I mean, it was very, there isn't anything that I didn't like. I mean, it flowed so well, the cinematography, just the whole, yeah, it was great. I liked it. There's nothing really I didn't like. I mean, there were no characters that were half-assed. It had a great cast. So yeah, no, I can't say there wasn't anything in there that I did not like as far as the plot was concerned.
Yeah. No, the story itself, I think, is extremely well done. And I do like how you are invested in all of the different like sub stories that are going on throughout this entire film. Like obviously you're invested on the Buffalo Bill story. You want, you know, Catherine to get saved. Like you're just like, yes, like let's save her. And you know, you want, like, that whole story alone could have been its own movie. Just those two, and it would have been a stellar horror film, just those two. But then you have Clarice and her story of, you know, losing her parents, having to live with family, having to run away, joining the FBI, being a woman
in the FBI,
in the FBI during a time frame when women were not in the FBI. You know, you have all of that, which that alone, again, could have been its own movie. Then you have Hannibal. Then you have Dr. Lecter. And he himself alone, own movie. Well, hence the reason why there's a series. But, but you know what I mean? Like, each story could have been its own film. But it was beautifully woven together, where all the pieces worked. And it was lovely. Absolutely lovely the way they did it all. I love that there wasn't anything we didn't like about the story.
Like, you know, that scene where she's telling the police officers, hey, you know, you got her this far. Now it's for our turn to take, you know, the victim.
Yeah.
That was even powerful. And you could tell she was uncomfortable saying it to these men, because these are grown-ass men looking at her like, who are you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And like the disdain that they gave her, but then at the same time, you could see there was a little bit more respect.
Yeah. And, you know, that whole scene right there, like any scenes with Clarice, any scenes with Hannibal, the good doctor, Minges, whatever his name was.
Chilton?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody half-assed anything in this movie. So it's kind of like, you can't find fault anywhere.
No, you really, you can't. The amount, like, in prepping for this episode, I did, you know, go and skim through all the fun facts on IMDb and listen to a bunch of different interviews. And every interview, which was substantiated with all the things in IMDb, they all said, like, almost everybody went through and like did research. They looked up serial killers. They looked up FBI stuff. Even Ted like went to trans bars and clubs and things like that and talked to people who were like, okay, like, give me your story. Help me understand what you're thinking and what life is like for you and like how you feel about all that and how you're treated. Like, he wanted the whole experience, and they all did that. I mean, even the guy who played the main FBI director sat there and worked with Douglas, who is part of the BSU and a major part of that organization, especially at that time. He's like, thank you for like letting me in on your world and experiencing this and understanding a lot of this. And Douglas is like, you haven't even cracked the surface. Listen to the recorded tapes from these two serial killers who raped and murdered women. They recorded what they did to these people. Listen to those. Then you've entered my world. Then you've entered what I do on a day-to-day basis. He said that he didn't even make it 1 minute into the recordings, and he has been haunted for life because of it.
Wow.
Talking about Scott Glenn?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he didn't come back for the sequel after that. I remember that.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's interesting that like everybody took the time to actually like research and understand what they were getting into when they made this film. And the fact that the FBI was like super in on it, that was pretty cool too. Before we dive more into that part, because that's like a whole thing, and I feel like we have way more to say on that. I do want to take mention of the technical side of this film. I think visually, this is a fantastic horror film.
Oh yeah.
It hit everything that you needed to hit. So for you ladies, when it comes to like special effects, lighting, cinematography, all that kind of stuff, what are your thoughts? Lisa, why don't you go ahead and start since you're the special effects guru?
I love the cinematography. It is fantastic. The lighting was great. Even though, like when he was eating the guy's face off, it's like everything. The moths were great. I don't really see any flaws in any of it, to tell you the truth. It just, the whole atmosphere, effects, cinematography, lighting, it all worked itself into the story so perfectly. And you could tell that they cared about the story. And
Oh yeah.
it engulfed you. I mean, you felt like you were in the story. So I liked it all. And the blood they used was realistic looking and
Yeah.
not CGI. It was real blood. But anyway, I had to put that in there. But no, it was really good. I mean, I can't complain about any of it. The darks were not too dark. The light, it was just, I liked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everything was balanced in the filming of this movie.
That's a good word to use.
Yeah, you could take a screenshot and look at it and be like, you know what, that could actually be like hung up on, somebody's wall as
Mhm.
regular painting. That's how I went in, watching it again. I was like, can I take this shot right here, this screen right here? Can I put it on my wall? And that's
Mhm.
how, I went about looking through the movie again. Is like whoever, the director of, cinematography was. I'll probably look it up later. It's somewhere on my screen of notes. Amazing job. Like I said, you could take a screen still, put it on your wall. Art. Even like the special effects was amazing from the cocoon. Later, I found out it was actually a Tootsie Roll and some gummies.
Mhm.
I don't like Tootsie Rolls. Tootsie Rolls are disgusting.
They
But
are.
just in case you get accidentally eaten while you're filming, hey, the person's not dying. Woo!
Mhm.
But, they had an excellent, person, whoever sculpted the little cocoons out of the Tootsie Rolls and gummies. Amazing job. Whoever did the whole body work of the poor girl who had, her back, panels of her back taken off. Amazing
Fantastic.
job. Fantastic. So they didn't waste a moment or a scene. They didn't throw it in there just to throw it in there to give it fluff. Everything was purposeful, but you know what I'm talking about. Everything
Mhm.
had a purpose. Everything was balanced. Nothing outdid each other. I mean, yeah, we all have our favorite moments, but it was just all balanced. And you understand why it won the amount of awards that it won.
Yep. Tak Fujimoto was the cinematographer.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can't agree more with you ladies. Like, and Karen, you're right. Balanced is the perfect term for it all. Even in like the scenes when they're talking between the glass. So you have Lecter and Starling, and they're facing each other. Even when you're looking at those shots, you can see the reflection of the other person, but it's like this, it's perfectly balanced where you can see there is like that back and forth and everything. The way that like the camera work was with like the zooming into the thing and like automatically Lecter is like boom. And even though yes, you're seeing all the stuff as it's panning, that's all you see is Lecter. Like you don't really take in his background because he just dominates. But it's the way that everything just moves right around him. He becomes central almost instantly. special effects, I think they did a great job, especially considering like this was back in the 90s. So there's a lot of stuff they still didn't have when it came to special effects that we have now. But like the face deal, fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh
That
yeah.
was brilliant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the blood looked like real blood. Well,
And
kind of.
But it was
The blood on his chin. I was like, that's corn syrup. But
Right.
but at the same time, like, you know, I'm looking at it from 2025. Back in 1991, I would have been like, oh my God, it's like
the
real
thing is,
blood.
it doesn't take you out of that moment
No, it doesn't.
unless you're like doing
Unless
a
you're being
examine.
critical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unless you're like, examining it for like a film class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Even then, that shot, that scene,
Yeah.
that is something that should be taught in school. You go from looking at this victim to all of a sudden, like the music box that's playing this gorgeous classical music, and then this bloody hand that just comes in, and then you can see the speckles on this pure white suit or uniform essentially. And all of a sudden, like you see the blood all over, and this person is just like as if there wasn't a dead body right next to them, as if like, oh, they're just in it for the music. They're just having a good old sweet time, completely like out of touch with what is literally visually right there around them. And I'm like, this is chef's kiss. Beautiful. Chef's
I
kiss.
don't think, at that scene he was out of touch. I think it was just Hannibal being Hannibal.
Oh no,
really.
It was. But I'm saying like a normal human being would have been like freaking out with all the things that were going on around. And even like some killers would have been like, oh, I need to get out of here.
Like, I don't need to be in a cell with that man.
Fight kind of thing. And he's just like, let me just continue listening to this song because it's fantastic. And like you could see he was almost annoyed that the other guard was trying to get away. He was like, I was listening to my favorite song, dude.
And I have to say, like, even like in the night vision goggle scene, that was perfect.
Right. That was so good.
And normally with night vision goggle scenes, I tend to get a little bit nauseated because it takes me out. But this one, I was all up in it. Like, I was Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
Watching Starling. I'm like, are we going to do this?
Yeah, no, that again, just shot so beautifully. Like, even though like, yeah, it was night vision, they were beautiful shots. Like, it looked good. Like, I feel weird even saying that, like, seeing somebody get hunted down looked pretty. But
it did. It did.
But it did. We're starting to kind of go into like all of our favorite parts of the movie. So what are our favorite parts of the film?
I mean, like, there's so many different parts of this movie that you just cannot say, this is my favorite, this is my favorite. The thing is, okay, so we all know the iconic scene with Buffalo Bill when he does that dancing to Goodbye Horses. Yeah, nice to you. Like,
Goodbye, horses.
The fact that Ted, who played Buffalo Bill, he advocated to do the dancing scene.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, like, it was in the book. I didn't know it was in the book because I haven't read the book, but he advocated to do that scene. I was like, you know what? If you take that scene out, it wouldn't have, that movie wouldn't have been like, as good as it was. Because I could actually imagine taking that scene out, but you don't get a more in-depth character of Buffalo Bill.
I think you're right on that. You lose who Buffalo Bill is if you don't have that scene. You see the weird. I'm going to call it itself weird, but I don't think gender dysphoria as a whole is weird. It is only weird in this specific reference because it does seem unnatural. It almost seems forced in a way. And you can see like there's just this like tug and pull, and not in a I'm not who I want to be or I'm not in the right body, but it's more of like nothing is right and therefore everything is wrong.
Yeah, because even,
Yeah.
Hannibal says it. He says Billy hates his own identity, you see.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
for them to
Yeah.
include that scene, you gives a
It
more
shows it.
story arc of, who he is. And then, you get to the scene where they have to do the autopsy
Mm-hmm.
of Miss Martha. And you kind of like want to cry for her because this could have been somebody you've known. It could have been your friend. It could
Yeah.
have been your daughter, and it connects you to the victim.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a beautifully shot scene
Very
because
much so.
it was respect on the victim's account, and you got to see the procedure of what they had to do to go about this autopsy. And
Mm-hmm.
then, you have the scene where, you know, Buffalo Bill pulls like one of the oldest tricks out of the book to get his new victim. Like, oh, my arm's broken. Could you help me, Because that's the same thing that Ted Bundy did,
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, but I have to say, like, one of my favorite scenes is when Clarice Starling first meets Hannibal Lecter, and the camera is panning to see Hannibal Lecter, and Hannibal's looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Mhm.
looking straight at the camera, and it's like he's looking into your soul.
Oh yeah.
That shot, to this day, it unnerves me, and I love it.
Yeah.
Like, out of all the shots and scenes of the movie, that shot, that one shot, unnerves
Yep.
me, and I love it.
I think it's one of my favorite shots in the film, and I
Oh
think it's
yeah.
because it truly does show what kind of predator Hannibal is. Like this is an animal. This is a top predator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lisa, how about you? What are some of your favorite
Oh yeah. Well,
scenes?
that scene for sure is where that still gives me chills. Where it's just you can see in his face. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he totally. Even thinking about it gives me the willies. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's like so like okay. Do I want to save you or do I want to eat you type of thing? I do like Buffalo Bill's dance scene. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's so iconic, and it's just I don't know if I could say the line. So,
I mean, what?
but I would fuck me. Would you fuck you?
Would you fuck
Yeah,
me?
fuck
I'd
me,
fuck me.
fuck
I'd
I
me,
fuck me
would fuck
fuck me
hard.
me. I
hard.
would
Yeah.
fuck me hard. Yeah, and it's like wow. And then of course there's the scene where the victim actually grabs his dog,
Yeah.
and that just shows the powerfulness of like he's kind of put off by that because it's like, oh, she's got a little power over me, what am I going to do? And you could see the change in his face because
Mm-hmm.
the dog, he loves the dog.
Yeah.
Because the dog doesn't judge.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And I always use the line, it puts the lotion on the skin or then it gets the hose
Mm-hmm.
again. But I mean, I think those are my three favorite, but it's hard because everything in there is so perfect,
Yeah.
almost perfect, that it's hard to. I really do like Clarice, though. I like her character too.
Yeah.
She's just strong, even in her weakest point, still strong.
Yeah. No, I agree. I can't just say like one specific scene that's like my favorite. This movie is just filled with scenes where I'm like, oh my God, that was so good. But like the dancing scene, definitely, you know, it's an iconic scene. It's been mimicked in a number of different things,
Jay
like
and Silent Bob. Silent.
Jay and
Yeah.
Silent Bob. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Jason
yep,
Mewes
It's like,
doing the
it's like, oh,
doing
yeah,
the dance, the tuck and everything.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's it's such a thing. And like I don't want to say it put that song on the map, but that song is still popular because of that movie. Like
fun fact: the
hmm,
artist, like, she disappeared from the movie scene. I find it kind of hilarious. Like, she was the taxi driver for the director, and he's like, "Oh, I like your music. Let me get that." Then she
mhm,
disappeared, and now apparently she's like a bus driver. So I'm like, you went from a taxi driver.
mhm.
You live an interesting life, lady. I want to get to know you.
Mhm.
Right?
because you have this, even though it's like this one song that no one, even though no one knows your name, it's like
Mm-hmm.
Q Lazarus, I think that's her name.
Yes. Yeah.
It goes to show, like, at any given point in your timing is everything, and for
Mm-hmm.
some odd reason, timing was on her side.
It was. It
Mhm.
was. But yeah, there's just so many scenes that are like amazing. Like I love whenever they do the quid pro quo.
Good po crow.
I love the fact that when she came to him the first time, she's like, I'm a student. I want to learn from you.
Mhm.
I think Lecter really saw that, yes, she actually does. Not the way that I'm going to teach her, but she is a human being who wants to learn, and she respects the learning process and has reverence to being a student through life. Like he can tell, like, this is somebody who actually truly does embrace learning.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
he, as somebody who I think does identify as a teacher, saw that and wanted to teach. And what did he do throughout the film? Every time they had an interaction, he pushed her. He made her learn something new. And not just about the case, not just about being an investigator and being an agent and like all that kind of stuff. No, he pushed her to learn more about herself. So even as
Yeah,
like being the
Yeah.
psychologist that he was, like he still even pushed her while teaching her multiple different things. And it was beautiful because you could see it in every interaction. He pushed her more. And you could see her going, I want to keep learning from him,
Mhm.
even though I know what he
it'll be
does.
bad.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like that line he says, "If I help you, Clarice, it'll be turns with us too. Quid
Mm-hmm.
pro quo. I tell you things, you tell me things. Not about
Mm-hmm.
this case, though. About yourself.
Yeah.
Quid pro quo."
Yeah. Quid pro quo. And so it's I think those are probably my favorite parts, or some of my favorite parts are like just their interactions. And they were
Oh yeah.
few. There wasn't like they were like wasn't a buddy cop film. They were
No.
together the
No.
entire time.
Mm-mm.
They were not together quite a bit. And yet their interactions were so impactful through it all.
I think
Um
they only had like 4 scenes together.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, 4 scenes. We've kind of talked about a few of the different things. So like the would you fuck me, the dance scene, and like this movie is filled with stuff that is culturally impactful. Like they're like cultural references that we still use today. Like it puts the lotion on the skin.
Mhm.
Even if you haven't seen the movie, you know it's from the movie. Like it's
Mhm.
it's kind of cool. So why do we think all of this is still relevant? Like why do we think people still use the liver and fava beans and a nice Chianti and even the all good things to those who wait, kind of got resurfaced language wise. So, what do we think?
I think this movie is so, iconic and that everyone knows it is because of the fact that we've now in an era that people love true crime and
Mm-hmm.
they research true crime. And this is kind of like a case study of an agent studying a criminal, but also learning from a criminal
Mm-hmm.
as well. Because the story itself was based off of an interaction between another agent and Ted Bundy, or college professor and Ted Bundy. So in a way,
Yeah. Actually,
as
I think it was an interaction with a few different people,
mm,
like the FBI going back. I think Geen was even one of the ones who got spoken to.
yeah, because it's. But I remember clearly it was mostly Ted Bundy when I was reading it. But if you look at the FBI's interaction with any serial killer,
Mm-hmm.
it gives us, as a person, as layman, a way to see what it's like to be an FBI, agent or FBI profiler or something like that. It's our desire as, humans to tread on the dangerous side almost, but
Mm-hmm.
without going to the dangerous side.
Yeah.
So for me, it seems to be like a gateway for people who want to study serial killers but don't want to actually study serial killers. who don't want to be in the room and interview them because
Yeah.
you do have like you do have to go sometimes to go to the prisons to interview some of these very very bad people, and you don't know if you're putting your life on the line because sometimes you don't have a guard with you, and if you do have a guard, what's to say that you know that inmate ain't gonna kill you and the guard,
Yeah.
so in a way this movie is just kind of a gateway for people who love true crime into a glimpse of what true crime is, and also a glimpse of what true horror is, what
Yeah.
psychological horror is. I mean, you can't escape, you know, the psychology of the movie. You can't.
No. No, you cannot.
And I think that's the reason why people, love it, and that's why it's so relevant, and people love to quote it so much.
Yeah.
And also, they made a series with Mads Mikkelsen.
They did.
That man is beautiful. So everybody wants a Hannibal Lecter in their life. And Anthony Hopkins is beautiful too. So it's kind of like a way for them to imagine having
Have you
Hannibal
guys
Lecter.
seen a picture of young Anthony?
Yes.
I understand why Martha Stewart started dating him.
Yes. And then she saw the movie and she was like, oh.
She's like, nope, never mind.
Never mind.
Peace out, Cub Scout. I'm good.
I would have stayed with him. I'm like, you have range. You have range.
Yeah. Lisa, how about you?
I would agree with Karen about it being a gateway into like the study of serial killers and, the iconic lines. I mean, there's a few movies out there that have iconic lines, but this seems to have a whole bunch of them. And I don't know, it makes you feel like you can see into the serial killer's mind by some of these quotes. And it makes you feel, even though you're not really, and it also gives you a feeling for the FBI. But I mean, honestly, it's just like perfect. And then, of course, there's lots of memes with the quotes too now. So
yeah,
lots of people see those. But I would definitely say I definitely agree with Karen. It's definitely a gateway into it. And it's for those who don't actually want to do, they want to get a feel for, being profilers and stuff, but they don't actually want to be there. But yeah, I think that's.
I mean, I trained to be a FBI profile. Actually, I trained to be a psychologist, and that kind of didn't work out. I became a creative instead. Creative.
Yeah, I found out that I was too old to be FBI profiler when I found out that I had the gift to do it. So it was like, damn. So I just
You're too old. No, you're not.
Well, yeah, at 35, I just discovered that I was really good at it when I was 37.
Oh.
So 35 was the cutoff date in the 90s, I think, or the 2000s.
Aegis.
Yeah, well, it's okay. Yeah. I play around on true crime sites and stuff. So that makes me happy.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, to be honest, some of the things that we find interesting and we get into, we're probably better off not having it as a career because then we lose the love for it.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. I think that this is a timeless movie. Even though, yes, it's very evident that this was, a 90s film and that it was based in the late 80s, early 90s. Like, yes, that's all relevant. And yes, it's very much a, you grasp that concept of it. Outside of, maybe like the technology portion, everything else about this film is timeless. There's not so much that ties it down to that time frame other than maybe like the technology. But even then, the lack of technology doesn't take you out of the story. It doesn't take you out of the film. It doesn't take the being able to relate to anything in the story out of it. And so because it is so timeless, I think is why it is so relevant and why we can do the jokes of it puts the lotion on the skin, because it's a timeless thing. It's why, having Jay and Silent Bob do the dance, like there's a reason why it keeps getting repeated through other forms of media, and how there's always like a resurgence on people coming in contact and going, ooh, but I need to watch this.
Shoot, I'll just watch it on my own if I want to.
Right? The fact that the FBI actually like worked hand in hand with them in the filming and production of this film.
And you could tell that too because it's very
Yeah,
procedural
very
on how they do
procedural.
things.
Yep.
And actually, I think there were some shots actually done at Quantico, which usually is like, no, you don't do any filming here. But they're like you can take down stuff that you don't want us to like film, but like there's something about Quantico we want to make sure gets seen. And so,
Yeah.
So all of the FBI scenes where when they're like she's at like the training facility, so aka Quantico,
Mm-hmm.
I think are actually at Quantico. And the set person was like, it's so boring there. And the director's like, that's the point.
That's the point. There is no joy here.
That is the point. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be dull. It's supposed to be boring. But it just, yeah, I think this is just, it's timeless. And and with it being timeless, it can be constantly referenced. It can constantly be seen. And even as our society and culture itself changes and grows and evolves, there are aspects of this film that then become highlighted with the change. Even like with a discussion of the trans community and everything, like you can see how it changed from when it first came out to now and how its impact has been. And so it's interesting. It's interesting to see like the evolution of it all. And even with women in the FBI, like this film was used, and the reason why the FBI was so integral in it was to get more female agents into the bureau. They're like, this is kind of like a training, like a tool to be like, hey, see, you can do it too. Come on over. But it was honest. It's not going to be easy. There are going to be a ton of guys who are like, you got boobs and a vagina, you can't do this. And and then you have Clarice going, bitch, watch me. Mm-hmm. My gun's bigger than yours. Check it. But yeah, like it's interesting and it's kind of cool. Like I said earlier, this film won Best Picture. It is a film that has been saved in the National Archives for being a great film, being a horror film, the way that the story is written, the fact that it's an adaptation that is done so well in movie form, which I know here on this podcast, we're more like, make it a mini series or a TV show because you never get it all in the from the book to the movie.
Yeah, you don't. But
this one did. This one hit the nail on the head. What do we think about this film's impact on the history of the horror genre in film, as well as what do we think it's going to continue to do for the future? Lisa?
I think as far as like the horror industry, it's brought us a few more crime horror films. I mean, other than the slasher films, we actually have more psychological horror because of this film.
Yeah.
And it's got a following now. I mean, it's like you want to see more of it, and you want to get more into the mind. Like when we had The Cell and all that kind of stuff, it just kind of launched it all. So it kind of made a little subgenre in the horror industry that, you know, this is true crime, this is serial killing, this is, you know, I mean, look, we had Longlegs, so, you know. Mm-hmm. And as far as, I think that the future, it'll bring more to the table as far as, honestly, I think it'll just bring more like true crime horror, but maybe a little off the edge a little bit more than this one. This was a little mainstream compared to some of the other ones.
Yeah.
That I've seen lately. But it kind of brings you in because it's such a human subject that it affects you a little bit more than just like, here comes Jason slashing you. You're actually like, this could happen to me. So I think it brings more of that psychological emotion into the horror genre. And I expect it, I'm sure it's going to keep going like that and evolve, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, it totally does. Karen?
Okay, so this movie brings to the forefront the monstrosity of humanity. Okay?
Yeah.
It shows that humans are truly monsters. And yeah, you had other movies that did like, you know, the whole human antagonist, but no, this one actually puts it in front of your face and saying, hey, that mass murderer, that serial killer, is some Joe Schmo down the street that you know. He's very
It
unassuming.
was your doctor.
It was
It
your
was your
doctor.
therapist.
It was anybody, you know. It basically took an ordinary looking man, Buffalo
Mhm.
Bill,
Mm-hmm.
that could have just walked in the streets, you know, seamlessly.
Even Hannibal.
Simple.
You know.
You know, just a regular doctor
Mm-hmm.
who didn't like imperfection or rude people, you know, dispatched them accordingly. It basically brought, you know, the human monster to the forefront. And because of that, I see a lot more movies that are having human monsters or human, you know, antagonists become more prevalent. However, the psychology behind those movies are not as good as say, the psychology behind this movie. And for the simple facts, because they had the FBI to help them. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
who better than to have the FBI agents help you because they actually hunt people. I mean, they have to get into the minds of people and hunt them down. This movie will forever be like the gateway. If you want to get into horror,
Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs. This is the bench prints, the benchmark for psychological horror.
Mm-hmm.
This is your standard. This is your mama dada, mama dada. This is your parent of psychological horror. And I would love to see more psychological horror like Silence of the Lambs.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the way, you know, how things are, if you cannot get into the mindset of a human monster, it's gonna fall flat. It is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But you have a
Exactly.
contender, you know. And I would love to have a contender. I would love to say, hey, that person came out with something like kind of like Silence of the Lambs. It's almost as good. It falls flat a little bit, but it's a contender. I mean, I would love to see more psychological horrors. I would love to see more human monsters. So this genre will grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's growing at a small little steady pace, but you know, it didn't. You know, it's running a marathon. It didn't do like the whole boom like you know the slasher. It's running its own little marathon, and it's gonna grow big. It's gonna go big. I mean, I see it. I see it's gonna grow big.
Yeah. So this was done in 90, or this released in 91. It is over 30 years old and it still is making an impact. It's still influencing the way you do psychological horrors. There's a reason why we have the Hannibal TV show. There's a reason why we had the Mindhunters TV show. There's a reason for us having Criminal Minds as a TV show.
Still going.
Yeah. Which got revived and it's, still going, which Spencer's coming back.
Is he?
He is. Yeah, Matt's schedule opened up, so now he's able to come back. I don't think he's coming back like weekly, but he's coming back doing some.
Yay!
Yay!
I think Professor Reed.
Yeah.
Doctor. Well, he's still definitely a doctor, but I think he's a professor.
So he's
I
gonna
could be wrong. I could be wrong. I read like a lot of stuff when I got that news, and I can't remember what I remember now.
He's following in Gideon's footsteps.
Yeah, which makes sense because him and Gideon were homeboys. But when it comes to the story itself, it's just classic. It is a classic story that is going to be easily told for decades, and that can be an amazing formula for more films. But then you look at the cinematography of this, the lighting, the way that it used stuff that Hitchcock did in his films to, just even like the dark shadows and things like that. This film has so many things that are amazing about it that it's going to influence for generations upon generations. People are going to see it, they're going to fall in love with it, and they're going to want to make their own version. And I really hope and pray that they don't remake this in my lifetime. However, with the way Hollywood is currently going, but I would love to see somebody do maybe like a more culturally now twist to this formula. Maybe use more of like a recent serial killer as like a formula for it. But I think the psychological crime thriller horrors are fun, and they are definitely a gateway for the non-horror people who, because they're like, I don't want to see the gore, but like they like the spooky and kooky. They just don't want to admit that they like the spooky and kooky, i.e. my mother, who is like a huge Criminal Minds fan, but she doesn't like gore. And so, this is kind of like their gateway, or their soft horror that they can enjoy. I have one last topic I kind of want to bring up, and I found this piece of information in the IMDb, like fun facts trivia section. Okay, if you guys don't go to IMDb and look at the trivia sections for different pieces of media, please do, because you can find out some really fun stuff, and you can find out, yeah, some of it's probably not real. Some of it is, and it's been like substantiated in interviews and stuff. But whether this is true or not, I think it's a good question to ask and to talk about. Sir Anthony Hopkins found out that he got cast for the role because of his performance in David Lynch's The Elephant Man. And he actually asked the director why. The character I was playing was a good character. It was considered more like, a hero. It was this was a good man that I played. Why did you think, based off how I played him, I could play Lecter, who obviously, Anthony thought was a bad man or a bad person? And the director told him, so is Lecter. He is a good man too, just trapped in an insane mind. How do we feel on this? Now, when I posed this question, I told the girls, I'm like, I don't want to hear what you guys have to say until we record, because I think this will be a really cool discussion. So, ladies, what do we think about that? Is Hannibal Lecter a good man just trapped in an insane mind? What do we think?
I mean, if you only watch Silence of the Lambs, you would think he was just a bad man, a bad, insane man. But if you watch the other movies and
or read the book,
or read the whole series, you will know that, Hannibal came from a very traumatic life.
Mm-hmm.
And, he had to do things to survive. Does that excuse his behaviors? No, but it also explains who he is and why he is the way he is. When he helps people, yes, he is amazing at helping people, but he's also amazing at looking at a person and seeing the true demon in them, if they have a demon in them, and pulling that demon out and eradicating that demon, quote unquote, meaning that he will kill that person.
Yeah.
Because that's usually his preferred method, is to eliminate unsavory people. And in for me, when he's helping people, when he's teaching people, like he's teaching Clarice, he's teaching his other student, A. McGad, I forgot his name, but it's in the series. I watched the other movies. He's a good teacher. I mean, he's a good man. He, gives them, knowledge to how to, do their job effectively, how to see outside the box, But when Hannibal becomes Lecter, that is when you need to be afraid. When Hannibal is just Hannibal himself, he's good. But when he becomes Lecter, it's kind of like Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say. He's Jekyll and Hyde.
Okay.
But he knows when he shifts into Jekyll and Hyde. Unlike, Jekyll or Hyde or whatever, he doesn't know. He has to take a potion and it's like, but he knows when he's shifting. He's aware of his shift. So in a way, he is a good person, but he's also a bad person.
Yeah.
Because you cannot separate. It's hard to separate your crime from your good deeds. It's kind of hard. It's like trying to separate the artist from his works or her works. It's very hard. You already know the crime that they did, and it makes you appalled you're either going to love them or going to hate them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to separate Hannibal Lecter from Hannibal Lecter's crime. He's a good man. He gives his knowledge out freely, but he's a bad man. The way he goes about getting rid of bad people.
Yeah.
In his mind.
Yeah. Lisa, how about you?
Yeah, I would definitely say I agree with her. He did come from a traumatic life and everything, and the way he had to deal with things. And his intentions were good, and the way he eradicated people, even though he knew the shift, it was intended to like get rid of the bad people and sort of kind of good, if that makes any sense. In his mind, it was like he was doing a service, as well as when he was teaching the students and Clarice and everything. But he's a bad man, and it is hard to separate him from his crimes. But then, in a way, he was still kind of he had the duality of both good and evil in him, and he just never he kind of learned how to balance it. So I don't know. I would say he's definitely a bad man because of his crimes, but his intentions, and you know what they say about intentions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Because of all his trauma and everything, because he's so insane, it got warped, and that's why he can't totally be a good man.
So, okay, I'm going to pose this question.
Okay, he kind of reminds me of a computer. Okay? Yeah. You could give a computer a set of directives, but at the same time, they're going to interpret their set of directives the way it interprets a set of directives. Okay? I have to protect, like, say if I have to protect humanity, and the only way I can protect humanity is I destroy humanity. But if I destroy humanity, how do I protect humanity? You know?
Exactly.
And so it kind of, he goes about trying.
Well, the character is actually, there is some relation to Hal.
Oh.
Yeah.
From Odyssey 2001. Yeah. Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was kind of thinking as like, as Megan,
Yeah.
Which is an updated version of Hal.
Yeah. She's to be a companion. Originally, I could see Hannibal being, as a person of a learning tool and something kind of, corrupted his file.
Exactly.
So the question I was going to put in here, you have Dexter, who has the serial killer tendencies. He has that desire to kill, but because he was trained to kill bad people that escape the justice system, even though it is vigilantism and all that, is he a good man?
Okay, the stark difference between Hannibal and Dexter is Dexter actually goes after people who escaped the justice system.
Okay.
Hannibal, goes after people that kind of offends him, like the piccolo player in one of the movies. He kept missing the note.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so you're gonna kill a dude for missing the note? Okay, that seems kind of extreme.
So,
and then you're feeding
really what it is because Hannibal doesn't actually kill on a moral standpoint. He kills on what he deems as good versus bad. And if he thinks it's bad, it therefore then means that this needs to go away.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like at least with Dexter, he has a set of, okay, so you rape 3 women and 2 men and you got a slap on the we're gonna kill you. Whereas Hannibal was like, I forget which one was it, Hannibal Rising?
So he in this movie specifically, he talks about like when he did the fava bean story.
Yeah,
it was because it was a census guy who came to the door and was testing him.
Yes, I was like, so you just killed a dude because he was doing census taking, and okay, and then you had his liver
with fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Yeah,
actually, Chiantis are really great wines. So depending on where he got it from,
but he didn't have to kill. He didn't have to, kill the dude and commit cannibalism, and then he also fed some of his peoples to other peoples. Okay, unwitting cannibals. They were unwitting cannibals. That's wrong.
I mean, You should have to consent on eating human meat. Long
I
pig should be you must consent to eating.
I don't want to be sitting there like, hey, you know that dude's house you went to eat at? Well, he killed like, three people, and apparently he fed, the shortbreads to his guests. What? I had those shortbreads. They were whose? They were delicious though, but I would love to have known. Give
I
me an
didn't get it.
options,
Yeah.
okay? Like,
Yep.
do I want to eat shortbreads or can I have a vegetarian dish?
Or I'd rather go for the rib, Hey,
I mean, a rump roast wouldn't be bad.
no.
I mean, I guess some people can be unwitting cannibals because they've been stories
Oh
about
yeah.
serial killers,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A lot of
feeding
serial killers do it.
feeding people to unwitting peoples.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Although I won't lie, and this is kind of like a segue off of what we're talking about. I think my favorite unknowing cannibalism thing was in fried green tomatoes
Yeah, I was
with the barbecue.
yeah, the barbecue.
That's what I'm like. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
accidental cannibalism, I think, is okay there.
yeah. These are the
Yeah.
best down ribs, man. But just
Yeah, that was kind of okay. Yeah, that was kind of okay. And then you had that one episode in Criminal Minds where the dude was kidnapping some of his town people and fed them to the search party. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
And he was telling the priest, confessing his soul.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I took
That's
on a little side talk there.
but this it's related to Hannibal because he did unwittingly
Yeah.
feed people other people. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's do our final thoughts and ratings on The Silence of the Lambs. So, Lisa, you get to go first.
I don't usually give 5 skulls, but this is definitely 5 skulls. The cinematography, the storyline, the characters, everything. Segue into horror. Won all the awards. Great characters, great actors. 5 skulls.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Karen?
Oh, all day long 5. I mean, can't find any fault to it, and you have some of the best bangers that's came out of it. The quotes and stuff. The music score,
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, he even Hannibal Lecter was like, he told Clarice, he's like, tell me, Clarice, would you ever say to me, stop? If you loved me, you stop. Like, would she be the reason for you to stop killing? Really?
Yeah.
So those interactions between those two, I mean, this you can't hate it. You know, it's it's a beautiful movie. I don't care what anybody says. It's a beautiful movie. I love
It
it.
is.
It is
It
beautiful.
is. I agree. 5 stars all the way. It is a timeless film. There's a reason why it won Best Actor or Best Picture in 91, as it should have. And the fact that even though people who were in the movie did not want to continue on, they still loved this film. They
Oh yeah.
still loved the experience that they had with this film. And I think that's what I love most about some films that we've talked about is when the people who were part of it said this was an amazing experience. Like I wouldn't trade this experience for anything else. Like I could not thank anybody enough for being able to be part of this. So I think with all of that, that makes this film worthy of the fact that it won Best Picture and is saved in the National Film Archive. Like to have that honor is huge. And it's a horror film. A horror film that a lot of people watch and or know of. So yeah, this is definitely a 5 star. So, our lovely little ghouls, have you tried doing the dance? The Buffalo Bill dance?
Goodbye.
Tell us in the comments.
I'm flying over you. Goodbye, horses.
Please come tell us in the comments. You can find us on all of our social media platforms while they last. We are literally everywhere on social media at Earth Station Boo. You can find us Instagram, X, Threads. Our Facebook group is always absolutely amazing. TikTok while it's still here, if it stays. or if it goes, who knows. You can also subscribe and rate us wherever you listen to podcasts, such as Apple, Google, and Spotify. And we are on YouTube. So go listen to us, leave a comment, tell us, did you do the dance? We really do actually want to know if you did the dance. I know I have. Have you, ladies?
I have.
Hey, Sammy was going to do the dance.
And so, ladies, where can they follow you and continue chit-chatting? Lisa?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and pretty much that's it right now.
Karen, how about you?
Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, formerly known as Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit.
Rock on. And you can find me, Shannon, at Spilled Tea Wine Media Mind on all the things. Now, our lovely little ghouls, as always, before we go, thank you. We appreciate you and your support for listening to us, sharing the podcast. Every subscribe, every like, every share means the world. So thank you so much. And stay spooky, our lovely little ghouls. And this has been the Spooky and Kooky podcast of Earth Station Boo.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.